So my guest was living his dream, playing professional football. He was a wide receiver with the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League. But after just 2 years with the Alouettes, Ezra Millington lacerated his liver. He was released by the team. In 2014, Ezra picked up by the Toronto Argonauts, and then he experienced what he calls the shift. We'll find out what the shift is a little bit later on. Ezra, good to have you back on 100 Huntley Street.
It's good to be here.
So we're going to talk about your background growing up. When you were 8 years old, you found out you were adopted. How did that hit you?
That was definitely another shift in my life. I think that was the first time where I really found out I didn't know who I was. The things that I thought I knew, I didn't really know. And I think that opened up a lot of questions that I really started wrestling with. And they really didn't settle. Yeah, they really didn't settle. And I really started searching different avenues from that point on.
Even as an 8-year-old boy?
Yeah.
Did you sense at all there was maybe something different, about the fact that you would find out you're adopted, say, opposed to some of your friends?
Yeah. I remember going out with a lot of my friends and kind of feeling this sense of loneliness, like I would be surrounded by a group of friends, but still feel like it was just me, feel like that I had the only, those only kind of questions that they didn't, so yeah.
And you had also a sister. She was also adopted.
Yes. Her name's Tanika, yes.
Okay, Tanika.
Yeah.
Great name. And so you're in a Christian home, though, and
Yes.
You're hearing about Jesus. And how did that, form your life?
It definitely set a foundation, a spiritual foundation, which I would find out and benefit from a lot later. Growing up in a Christian home was good. Family was great, but it didn't. At the time, it didn't settle me. It didn't put to rest the questions that I had. I still had those questions, and I think until I found those questions out, I wouldn't have peace. Yeah.
I think for a lot of Christian parents, and we were talking before coming out, and I raised 4 kids in a Christian home. I was not raised in a Christian home. Okay. And I know that they have to go through their struggles. We try our best to portray Jesus in a way that is, honoring to him, but, we don't always get it right. So right. For you, was it more about the religion of Christianity, and then later you'd find out more about the relationship part of Jesus?
Yeah, that's it. Growing up, what it was for me was church every Sunday, youth every Friday, and having friends obviously at church that we would play sports with and build with on a certain level. It was great. It was great as a kid to be able to go off to cottages and stuff with my friends, my church friends. But I think there was a lot more when it came to church that I would find out later. There was a lot more this Christianity we talk about that I would find out around 23 years old, yeah.
So what happened, say 8 years old, you find out you're adopted, you're in church, you're in the youth group,
yeah.
But then you started to kind of fall away and didn't really understand what it was to follow Jesus, and I guess, basically getting pulled into the things that were attractive, things in the world.
That's it, yeah. It was really once I hit high school that just that pull of the world, that pull of what my unsaved friends were doing, the parties, playing football now at the time, and finishing the game, knowing all my friends are going off to, do their stuff. I wanted to fit in, right? And being a kid who wasn't completely sure or settled on what my identity was, it was easy to, get caught up in the wrong stuff, the wrong influences at times. And that was really a struggle.
So you end up, though, going to a university in Ottawa, right?
Yes.
You have a good career. You're a wide receiver. Then you have opportunity to play professional football. You're discovered down in Florida by the Alouettes. Where was your spiritual life at that point?
Didn't really have one.
Nominal Christian, would you say then, maybe, or there's such a term?
Yeah. I guess. At that point, I was so focused on my own insecurities, really, trying to perform, obviously, to the best of my abilities, trying to impress the coaches. And when it came to spiritual things, I think they didn't seem that important at the time. There was a lot of pressure now to make the team, to make my parents proud, have my friends say, yo, I saw you on TV. Like those things I think trumped, living for God and understanding of what that meant at the time.
So here you are, though, playing in the Canadian Football League, being seen on TSN across Canada. Now you're making it, all that kind of thing. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a situation that came up with your liver and how that kidney and how that affected your life in a dramatic way when we come back with Ezra Millington. So in 2003, my guest Ezra Millington was catching footballs with the Montreal Alouettes. He was on TV. Everybody was noticing him. He was making his parents proud. But then you suffer an injury.
Yes. It was in my first, it was actually a preseason game. And either the second or third play of the game, right at the beginning, the pass was thrown to me, it went over my head. And I guess I kind of let my guard down for a minute. And a linebacker had come flying across the field and hit me. And I guess the way I got hit, lacerated my kidney. And I didn't know at the time, played the rest of the game, internally bleeding with a lacerated kidney. And thank God it wasn't as worse as it could have been, because I remember getting back on the bus after and traveling back to the hotel and just excruciating pain. And it's funny how in the pain I was in, the bus going down the road happened to be so bumpy, and it was just like someone was like stabbing me. Yeah. And I remember we got back at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so I didn't want to bother anyone. Everyone was just kind of packing up and going to bed. And right before I went to bed, I just used the bathroom and just pure blood.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Now, professional sports can be pretty brutal.
Yes.
You were cut from the team,
Yeah.
but then you got an opportunity to play in Toronto and Winnipeg.
Yes.
But with the Argos, you had what you called the shift. Explain.
Shift. Yeah, so in my time off, I had to get a job once I recovered, and I was working at Foot Locker. At this point, all my friends are gone, either off to university or playing sports or whatever. And there was this guy that I'd grown up with. His name was Daniel. And for about 6 months, he would come in the Foot Locker every day, telling me about how his life changed, about God and all this stuff. At the time, I wasn't really interested. All I was thinking of was going back to play football. But near the end of that 6 months, I started to get curious. And we landed in a church about 6 years ago. And I had never seen what was about to happen to me that day. A pastor at the front of the church, he called me out in front of a large group of people. And when I went to the front, he put his hands on me and he just started to pray. And he said something that shifted me. He said, in 3 days, you're going to meet somebody. At that point, my curiosity and my faith went, shot up. And that same night, I became born again. And 3 days later, I met my wife.
Yeah, and now and you got married, and we're going to actually her amazing story coming up on a future program.
Yeah.
So you were able to, go back to playing football.
Yes.
But Ezra was now changed. You were on fire for Jesus.
I was changed. I experienced something that, when it came to my identity, the one thing I was searching for desperately as a kid, that peace I talked to you about, I finally had it. I finally knew that I had received a peace that nobody could take from me, and that identity and knowing who I was now strengthened every area of my life.
Do you think that when that happened, Ezra, that you go back to this 8-year-old boy who finds out he's adopted, and now there's this shift, did that make a big difference in you? Because now, because you talk about identity here.
Yes, everything. It led to what I'm doing today in terms of being able to help a lot of other guys that I can also see aren't sure of who they are yet. And yeah, just when it came to whether speaking, interactions with people, going back to play football, it's almost like my abilities improved. Just knowing who my Heavenly Father was.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that, if we don't have that identity, it leaves us in confusion.
Yes.
So something again, you were living the dream, you have the injury with the kidney and all these things are going on.
Yeah.
And you were facing a future at that time of uncertainty
Yes.
and fear, but that's the very thing now you're working with, this Total Man Development.
That's it, yeah. We help give guys identity through sports. So the way Total Man Development started, I actually started getting the hunger for it when I was on the Argos. I kind of penned it down, and once I finished in the CFL, I kind of really started moving with that. and just seeing guys change through identity. You know, that's really something that I know is lacking in the community. You know, the communities I work with in Durham, Coburg region.
And you're in the public school system.
Yes, public school, yes.
Using what we would call Bible or biblical or kingdom principles.
Yes, yes. So we do a lot of mentorship and teaching programs, which I love. And yeah, what we do is we just teach these kids on different topics, who they are, how to apply their life in certain situations, how to have confidence, why certain things are happening in their life. And we've seen a lot of progress. We've seen a lot of kids get changed already, and a lot of good testimonies from a lot of the kids.
And I find it interesting because the public school system too is, you know, you got to be careful, you know, with this religion stuff. But I guess you learn some things maybe as a football player in the locker room.
That's it. Yeah, really. Again, how to conduct yourself, how to carry yourself professionally, how to be disciplined. Those were a lot of things that I learned in the CFL. It was almost like a training ground for what I'm doing now.
Well, you're doing amazing work. And it's interesting, even some of the girls are coming out too.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Who's going to win the big game this weekend?
49ers.
49ers.
Let's go 49ers.
Okay, we won't. I don't like to bet, but we'll a friendly bet.
Okay.
Lunch. How's that?
That's it. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, Ezra Millington, thank you for joining me. And you know, wherever you are in your life, if you've not experienced what we've been talking about, a relationship with Jesus, it's more than a religion. It's a relationship with God. And we have amazing people that would just love to pray with you. You know, to introduce you to Jesus. I mean, you could have all these misconceptions about what it is to be a Christian, to follow Jesus. I don't have that excitement. I go to church, but I don't feel purpose. Well, you can have a purpose when you follow Him. Give our prayer lines a call, 1-866-273-4444, or you can email us at prayer@crossroads.ca. Let's head over to Cheryl.
Hey, welcome to our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do.